right, let's see how well this works out. I don't know. I forgot a camera mount, and I am actually on my way to drop off this car to trade it in. This is my BMW 2017 BMW M240i, rear-wheel drive, stick shift. You can't see it, but there's a little stick shift down here. Convertible, obviously. I was basically on the market for a more modern toy car. You know, I love BMWs. I love a lot of old stuff, but if you watch my reviews, I love BMWs, particularly the Z3. I love the BMW E46 M3, love the E90 M3, and a lot of the reviews that I was reading and watching basically said that this car is the, I don't know, resurgence or resurrection or whatever you want to call it, of the E46 M3. Now, look, I get it. It's an M240. It's not an M2, I know. The reason I got this car, let's see if I can move this on. The reason I got the M240i instead of the M2 itself is because I believe that all toy cars should be convertibles, and they don't, for whatever odd reason, they don't make the M2 in a convertible. I don't know why, but they don't. Chassis stiffness, blah blah blah, which to me actually is like an indicator of what BMW is frankly doing wrong right now. So anyway, so I watched all the reviews. They said, oh, this car is absolutely amazing. You know, the shifting is amazing, the engine is amazing, the B58 is absolutely amazing, and there are really good things about it. You know, if I was maybe earlier in my car owning career,
estimated time in traffic 7 minutes.
Thank you, Waze. If I was earlier in my car owning career, or maybe younger and hadn't experienced some bigger power stuff, or maybe some more charismatic cars, I would absolutely love this thing. But I am later on in my car ownership career. I've had some pretty big power stuff, and I've had real deal M3s, and this is really, comparatively, it's pretty uncharismatic, to the point where I almost feel like I can be in anything right now. There's nothing particularly about this car that screams BMW to me, other than the fake exhaust burbles that you can barely hear. The exhaust from the factory is way too quiet. Way too quiet. I don't care what it sounds like from the outside. I know people say it sounds really great from outside. I don't give a shit. I can't hear it at all. I'm driving a convertible with the top down, and I can't hear it. And this is not the stock exhaust. With the OBD connection, I disabled the little exhaust flap, which really only seems to adjust the burbles, turns them on or off, because all it does is it opens up the flap on the left side, the exhaust port on the left side of the muffler. So I don't think the flap actually makes it louder at all, but it does seem to have something to do with the burbles. And what I also did is I had an exhaust shop cut out the second resonator back. So it's still got the cat, it's got the first resonator, the bigger one. The second one has been cut out in straight pipes, and obviously the muffler is still there. Now look, I get it. That's a lot of exhaust that's still there, and there's a lot to be changed. But like, why do I have to change all that much? Like this thing, you literally cannot hear it with the top down in its stock form. Now I can barely hear it enough to where I actually at least know what I'm doing without having to glance down at the RPMs. But it's still way too quiet for me. You know, I don't like that at all. This is a performance car. It's an M car. Why is it so quiet? It's ridiculous. It's really bad. I mean, it's an M240. I just can't think of anybody thinking to themselves, yeah, you know, I want a 300, whatever they say it is, 335 horsepower, whatever they say it is. It's more than that. I can guarantee you more than that. But I can't imagine anybody saying to themselves, you know, I want the tiniest car BMW makes with the biggest engine, second biggest engine, I guess, to the M2. And I want it dead silent. I don't know what BMW's deal is lately with those exhausts, but even my E90 M3 was too quiet just driving around. I want to hear my car. If I buy a performance vehicle, I want to hear it. BMW has this obsession with making stuff like sleepers, like, oh, you can drive to your office job in this. I don't want that. I want people to know that it's a performance car. So that bothered me a ton right out of the gate with this car. I just couldn't hear it at all. Like I said, I went and got the exhaust modified. I got one piece of it cut out, but it's still not loud enough. And so I was basically at the point where I said, okay, let me take a couple more steps here, see if I can step this car up a bit and see if I'll fall in love with it or not. So I added a JB4, which, as best as I can tell, added no power. I mean, I don't know. The power really isn't the problem with this car. It's the charisma. You know, from the factory, it feels really, really fast. Now, I didn't take it to the track or anything like that, to the drag strip, but I mean, if you can look up the numbers, I think it runs 12.9 stock, which is damn fast, particularly in a car this small. So power really wasn't its issue, but I decided I would add a JB4 to see if that would maybe make me love it a little bit more. And then I bought Burger Tuning's intake as well, because again, a bunch of reviews said, oh yeah, this intake completely changes the sound of the car, blah, blah, blah. It didn't. You can barely hear the intake also. I mean, I think the problem that we're having here is a problem of sound insulation. Like, why does this car need to be so incredibly sound deadened? You know what I mean? Again, performance car, let's lighten it up a little bit. Excuse me, I got some sort of thing in my mouth. Lighten it up a little bit. I want to hear the car. You know, it's a performance car. It's maybe something somebody might take to a track every now and then. I really just want to hear the mechanical doings of its carness. You can't hear any of that in this thing. Genuinely, I might as well be driving a Chrysler Sebring right now that comes in a stick shift. I will say the interior on this car is really, really nice. I am 6'2", 200 pounds, and I drove this car. I went down to damn near Philadelphia to go get it. And I drove it 350 miles back, top up, top down, and I was comfortable as shit. The only problem it's got for me is my left knee. I'm not going to pick up the camera because it's sort of gingerly sitting there, but my left knee hits the door handle on the driver's door. So I have to sort of force myself to put my foot completely on the dead pedal. And from there, it's actually, my knee just like sort of barely scrapes by, and then I've got a good 2 inches more of leg room for my knee. But that's honestly the only gripe that I have with the interior. The shifter is oddly far back. I don't know if any reviews have mentioned this before, and I think it's because they wanted the engine mounted far back, and then hence the trans mounted far back to get all the weight toward the center, which is cool with me if that is the reason. If it isn't, it's kind of just strange. Like, it's not where my arm naturally goes when I rest it to drive a stick car. I kind of like have to pull back. I know it's tough to sort of describe without showing you the stick. Maybe I can just tilt it down like that. See, the stick is weird. It's in a weird spot. I don't understand why it's so far back. I mean, it's fine, but I have to get used to it. My arm sort of slowly moves its way forward as I'm driving along because the throw is kind of long. Then I have to constantly sort of readjust. Very minor gripe, whatever. I'm really actually in the process of complimenting the interior. I think it looks good. You can tell that it's a budget BMW from the materials on the dash. The dash itself, the cover, if you will, is definitely shinier than what would be a more premium material. And then there's like other stuff that just sort of creeps and whatever around. But honestly, it's a really, it's not like super budget. Like, it's not like I feel like I'm in a Ford that was rebranded a premium brand. You know what I mean? It does feel like a BMW, and it looks good. This is the red interior, which looks awesome, fucking awesome. I wouldn't, if this hadn't had a red interior, I don't know that I even would have bought it, because it's silver on the outside. It's a color that looks very similar to Arctic Silver. I don't know if it is, but it's silver on the outside, and it's very bland silver. It really does nothing for me in any way, shape, or form. But it was the only one even remotely close to New England available at the time that I was going to purchase it. So I bought it anyway. And the idea for me was like, if I really fall in love with it, I'll get it wrapped. Obviously, that's not going to happen because I'm trading it in. But that was sort of the idea for me. But yeah, I mean, look, the interior is really nice. One super cool thing about this car is it's got rev matching, which will make you a better driver, but B, also a very lazy driver. There's another M2 driver, or M240, sorry. Yeah, this is going to make you a very lazy driver.
In half a mile.
Does that matter?
At the roundabout,
I don't know.
take
Who
the
cares?
second exit on
I mean,
US
unless you're like
44.
trying to be a track superstar,
Then
who
exit
gives a
right.
shit? But it has already done that to me. But it's also made me a better driver. I mean, I can downshift early. I have a very hard time heel towing. I mean, I basically have to do like side footing because I have size 13s. But this makes it so that I don't have to even bother with that at all. So I can downshift right before a corner instead of mid-corner like I usually do. So that's great. But yeah, I mean, other little grievances, like there's no dual zone. There are dual zone controls, but there are only dual zone controls. For some reason, you can't sync them. But yeah, I mean, anyway, I'm going to make this somewhat brief today because I'm about to get on the highway.
Then exit right to
Okay,
I-495
right.
North, State Route 24, Marlboro,
Anything else?
Boston.
Yep. And what's the zip code? Oh yeah, good driving, Grandpa. Okay, let's see if I can go here. Yeah, I mean, look, it's anyway, my review is not great of this car, obviously. You know, if you're younger, I paid 30 grand for this car. It has 88,000 miles on it, and you haven't had a car like M3 caliber before. Maybe you're coming from like a GTI, something like that. Maybe this car can be something that you'll fall in love with. But to anybody a little bit older,
I-495 North, State Route 24, Marlboro, Boston.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody a little bit older who's had some sort of faster, more premium, woo, go down. Oh no, don't do it. Okay. Oh, what happened there? Interesting. I don't know what's happening there, but well, anyway, I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, if you've had, you know, if you're coming from a lower end car, I'm not trying to knock it. It's, you know, everybody's young at some point and they have cheaper cars. Coming from something like a GTI, something like that, maybe it's worth a look. Take it for a spin. It's definitely fast. There's no question about that. There is turbo lag. All the reviews say there's no turbo lag. There is. I think that those people have probably.
40 minutes to exit 58, I-90 Mass Pike.
Thank you,
Boston,
Wiz. Very good.
Albany, New York.
Okay, thank you. I think that those people have probably not driven a naturally aspirated car in a very long time, or like an E46 M3, something like that. Because there's a good second of lag when you stop it. It almost feels like input delay. But that's it. That's sort of my review. If you've had anything like an M3 or something like that, frankly, I would say don't buy in on the hype. The M2, I am happy that BMW makes it. I'm happy, or the 2 Series in general, I'm happy that BMW makes it. It makes cars like this attainable for people with less money, but it's not a replacement for a big boy car. It just isn't. I've had it for 3 weeks, I think, something like that, and a Camaro SS popped up. Nowhere near me, frankly. It's 250 miles away, but it's convertible, black on black, with a little bit higher miles, which I love because I don't put a lot of miles on stuff. So I'm trading it in for that. It's time to take a bath. It is what it is. But yeah, so anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. That concludes my review of the BMW M240i. Thank you.